The Prowler, Part 11. I was awoken earlier than usual by the sweet sounds of anguish and pain. Sounds like the bodies were just discovered of the stable hand and my brother's poor excuse for a wife. I can hear him screaming. It brings my heart much joy to hear such things. Makes one feel alive and accomplished. The whole household is awake now. I hear the stirring of the help and the booming screams of father asking how this could happen here on his property. This will make for some headline-catching news, I thought. 2 massacred bodies found on the stately grounds of one of England's most important families. How lovely for me. I know a gentleman such as myself shouldn't be concerned with such trivial things, but I must stay ahead of that no-good bastard, Jack the Ripper. He's no gentleman, and I won't be bested by some lowlife. I quickly sprung out of bed and slipped on my robe. I figured I ought to make an appearance and feign remorse for those 2 poor souls. I tried to hide the pep in my step as I made my way down the stairs, everyone moving around me, frantic and hurried. I was first greeted by the head butler, Mr. Lyles, informing me of the demise of my sister-in-law. "My word!" I exclaimed, doing my best impression of someone who actually gave a shite. I then made my way outside with the rest of the servants and family. Scotland Yard was already at the stable. The new head inspector, Mr. Farnsworth, was standing just a mere few feet in front of me. I looked upon the man, watching his every movement. And if this is the gentleman they picked to stop me and pin their hopes on, well, I'm afraid to inform them that they're on for a rude awakening, because this man is no match for my skills. As I stood watching, continuing to canvass the area, I heard a high-pitched voice come from the left of me. I turned my head, and standing before me was a will-o'-the-wisp gentleman, wee and frail. He stood there asking anyone he approached questions pertaining to the crime. He held a small journal and a pen, and transcribed notes in said journal whenever he received information from whoever he spoke to. My God, could it be? Could this be the man himself standing before me, the notorious Parker Johns in the flesh, chronicler of my exploits? I gave him a once-over. About what I expected, I thought to myself. A man who's frail and weak, someone who can't do the deed themselves, so they have to resort to writing of others' accomplishments. Typical writer. He moved from person to person, witness to witness, trying to gather information, running around like some frantic bug. The man sickens me. I held the urge to vomit as he approached me. Of course he would want a statement from the family and member of the household. And with my brother grief-stricken and father consoling him, it fell to me to have to talk to this scum. He introduced himself in a snide, smugly tone. I told him I knew who he was, trying to hide my disdain as I said the words. He addressed me by my proper titles and was on his best behavior, thinking that will get him somewhere, no doubt. But sadly for him, all of his ass-kissery will get him nowhere. I informed him that no one in the family saw or heard a thing. We were all fast asleep in our chambers, and have no earthly clue why Agatha was out in the stables with the stable hand, but my brother and the family are deeply saddened by her untimely demise. He tried to press for further information, but as I said before, no one in the household saw or heard a thing. I could hear myself starting to lose my cool. My temper was beginning to show. I bid him a farewell, but as I started to walk away, he spoke to me with such condescendence and spewed, "That's not correct, sir. There was a witness in the household this evening." I slowly turned and looked upon the man. "Is that so? Well, who would this supposed witness be then?" I asked in the most smug tone I could muster. The maid Gertrude said she heard moaning and what she thought sounded to be a faint scream. And around the same time, not long after, the gardener Wilkins claimed he thought he saw a silhouette flee from the stables but lost it in the dark. I stood there, feeling the anger begin to rise, but doing my best to suppress it. I smiled at him and said, "That's very interesting. What a shame they didn't get a proper look at the culprit." He then asked me one final question. He asked me what I thought of this Prowler fellow and the terror he's caused these past months. I looked at him, knowing I would have to do my best actor's performance and pull some disdain and anguish from somewhere deep in my body's core. The Prowler has become quite the cunning nuisance, hasn't he? He's caused a lot of pain and suffering to the people in our community and to the loved ones of his victims, which now you can add our family to his ever-growing list. Hopefully, Scotland Yard will apprehend this Prowler post-haste. I smiled and bid Mr. Johns a good night and turned back towards the manor. Pretty good performance, if I do say so myself. Shite. It took all I had not to strangle the bastard right on the spot. I made my way back to my chambers and went back to sleep. Acting like I gave a shite was very tiring. I awoke a few hours later, with a buzz still filling the air and the grounds right outside my window. James arrived not long after with my coffee and morning paper. Anxious to see what Mr. Johns had to say, I unfurled the paper and saw the headline, "Prowler strikes one of the realm's most influential families. Slays police commissioner's wife." In the early morning hours, 2 bodies were found savagely murdered at Burlington Manor, one being the body of Agatha Burlington, the wife of West End Police Commissioner Nigel Burlington, and the other body being a one Bruce McGill, a stable hand in the family's employ. Both were horrifically torn apart, and parts were removed as a Prowler's sick trophies, and like at many other scenes and on many other bodies, the Prowler's macabre poem was left upon their corpses. I spoke with the Earl-in-Waiting, Lord Neville Burlington, and he expressed the family's sadness, especially that of his brother, and expressed his dismay of the Prowler situation, and hopes Scotland Yard will put an end to it swiftly and promptly. I asked if he had seen or heard anything from last night's attack, but he informed me that neither he or anyone else in the manor heard or saw a thing. But after some thorough due diligence on my part, I found a household maid who said she heard moaning and thought to have heard a scream not long after. And the gardener claimed he saw a silhouette flee the stables and vanish into the darkness. I'm left saddened and baffled once again. More death has befelled our community once again, dear readers. and sadness has struck one of our nation's finest families. When will this madness end? Until tomorrow, dear readers, good luck and stay safe. Very nicely done. I do feel an overwhelming amount of joy in my accomplishments. My skill with my blade and disposing of my victims are unmatched, and my skill of deception and acting are beyond reproach. Look at that beautiful act of deception I just performed on Mr. Johns. I fooled the man. I fool everybody. I will not be caught by the likes of these fools. I'm surrounded by simpletons and foolhardy bastards, and people like Mr. Johns wonder why they're lambs for the slaughter. It is because you're protected by weaklings, and for I am the wolf, cunning and deadly. I will stalk and kill you without mercy. And I have 2 new prey to add to my list. It's time to dispose of the maid and the gardener. I would like to give a heartfelt thank you to the special friends of the channel for your overwhelming generosity. If you would like to support the channel, the link is below in the description. Also, please send me your stories and poems to duchessofdarkness27@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram at duchess.ofdarkness and Twitter at duchessofdarkn2. I want to thank all my listeners for your kindness, your encouragement, and your support. It means the world to me. Thank you for joining me. Until next time.